Welcome to Good Vibes, a Bharat Media original.
Good evening, hello, Sat Sri Akal, and welcome with a Vanakkam. I am Dr. Saraswati Chandra, and we welcome you all to the Good Vibes series, a Bharat Media original. Today, I will take you through to a very beautiful topic, the science behind some of our rituals, to help us to understand them better and see the science behind it to make our life happy and strengthen our interactions and relations, which play a very important role in our lives. Though some of them may not be followed by many of us for various reasons, but it is good to know that these rituals have some basis and is scientifically analyzed, because our ancestors were very scientific, systematic, disciplined in creating all these with a purpose. You are watching Good Vibes, a Bharat Media original series. So the science behind some traditions followed in our country, the beautiful Bharatam. Our culture, like any other, has its own unique way of life. The traditions followed by the Hindus since ages actually have scientific reasons and are not mere religious rituals. Get to know the science behind some of these traditions. Hinduism is more about the culture and the way of life, primarily with the people living in Bharatam. Along with the religious aspect, Hindu life is a system of knowledge given in the scriptures, which was compiled by the sages, giving the gist of their studies, transformed into simple actions that could be observed every day to lead a healthy and peaceful life. Finding out and learning about the why behind these routine or traditions as something every human being may practice for his or her well-being. Now, before we come to the tradition, we must understand what is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana denotes that which is without a beginning or an end, or everlasting. Dharma doesn't have direct translation in English, but comes from dhri, meaning to hold together or sustain. So dharma is often interpreted as meaning natural law. Sanatana Dharma are the duties which take into account the person's spiritual, that is the constitutional, identity as Atman, and are thus the same for everyone. According to Sanatana Dharma, the eternal and intrinsic inclination of the living entity, that is the Atman, is to perform seva or service, and Sanatana Dharma encompasses the list of duties and practices that all must comply with. This list of practices includes virtues like honesty, goodwill, patience, generosity, are to name some. Following these codes allow one to reach moksha, a state of spiritual liberation. Self-knowledge and enlightenment are also experienced. The practice of yoga is a vital part of this process, as it allows the yogi to achieve a union with their spiritual side. Sanatana Dharma places spiritual experiences above religious issues and uses yoga practice to reach moksha. Sanatana Dharma is a spiritual path that is open to all sincere spiritual seekers, regardless of their ethnicity or a nationality. Now, if you look at it, the question comes, is Sanatana Dharma diluted today? But the answer is, it is not in our hands to dilute it. Individuals' understanding may be diluted. From person to person, there may be different dimensions of understanding, but we cannot dilute Sanatana Dharma because it is the basis of existence, and we cannot dilute it because we did not create it. Now, the scientific reasons behind our traditions. A brief descriptions about scientific reasons behind a few common traditions that we normally see in our day-to-day experiences. Namaste. The word and the gesture of joining both the hands together is the essence of our philosophy. We say namaste when we welcome someone. It is a gesture which is greeting someone, and if you look into the depth of it, this greeting is to express, I salute the divinity in you, and I recognize and respect that divinity of the soul. Atma Namaste. This is actually the actual expression, because we all are divine souls. Another tradition is, on getting up in the morning, we do rub our palms, do a face massage and open it and see both the palms and chant a shloka, that is Karagre Vasate Lakshmi Karamadhye Saraswati Karamule Govinda Prabhate Karadarshanam. I will repeat once more. Karagre Vasate Lakshmi Karamadhye Saraswati Karamule Govinda Prabhate Karadarshanam, and take that energy to the whole body. Now this mantra is from Vishnu Puran by Vedavyasa, and Kara means hands, Darshan is seeing or sight of it, and it is a tradition to first look at the palms joining together when we wake up in the morning and say this shloka. I focus on my fingers, Kara, and Agra means top. I visualize the abundant blessings of Goddess Lakshmi who dwells at the top. I focus on the center of the palm, Kara Madhye, middle, and I visualize the abundant blessings of Goddess Saraswati, who is the goddess of Jnana and showers us with wisdom. At the base of my hand, Kara Mule, I visualize the infinite blessings of Lord Vishnu, who is the energy of Ananda Lahari, Prema Lahari, Saundarya Lahari. I focus within my hands every morning and seek divine manifestations And after saying the mantra, we absorb the energy generated and we move both the hands by touching our face and down our body. This helps us to feel fresh and awakened and filled with divine energy. You are watching Good Vibes, a Bharat Media original series. Drinking water from a copper utensils. Many of us use copper vessel. Keep the water overnight. In the morning, we drink the water from this vessel. Water kept overnight in a copper pot and had in the morning is considered to be a traditional practice, and it is believed that it absorbs extra body heat and cooling the body naturally and helps in maintaining the body temperature. And also the water helps in bowel movement and cleansing the stomach and creating digestive juices. So this tradition is very much scientific tradition. Now let us come to the kolam or the rangoli and the benefits. Every morning in most part of India a ritual takes place. The housewives sweep the entrance of the home and sprinkle it with some water mixed with cow dung, as it helps to purify the air circulation and also kills the unwanted insects. Then that area is decorated with a kolam or a rangoli. A kolam is a geometric drawing created with rice flour normally. Regardless of its design, the kolam is a customary culture in our country that has many benefits to one's life. Kolam symbolizes auspiciousness and good luck. We believe that the geometrical design of a kolam welcomes Goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance and prosperity, and drives away negative energies. Drawing a kolam is seen as a great physical exercise. Completing a kolam increases one's creativity and concentration. And if the kolam designing is done in the early morning, then the ladies get the opportunities to breathe in fresh air of the nature, and also it is very healthy to absorb the rising sun's rays and helps the ladies to solve any type of problem that comes in their life. Also, this is considered a charity, as crows, squirrels, ants, etc. come and eat the rice flour from the kolam. This is supposed to be one of the Pancha Maha Yajnas, that is Yajna, which forms the daily duties in our tradition called Bhuta Yajna, which creates the spirit of sharing with all living beings. So from here, charity begins. The next is, why do we light a lamp? The ancient tradition of lighting lamp with oil or ghee has a very special significance. In almost every home, a lamp is lit daily before the altar of the Lord, and in some houses it is lit at dawn, and in some houses twice a day at dawn and dusk. And in a few it is maintained continuously as Akhanda Deepa. All auspicious functions commence with the lighting of the lamp, which is often maintained right through the occasion. Light symbolizes knowledge and darkness symbolizes ignorance. Light is considered the Lord, that is the knowledge, Chaitanya, who is the source, the illuminator of all knowledge. Hence, light is worshipped as the Lord Himself. And knowledge removes ignorance, just as light removes darkness. Also, knowledge is a lasting inner wealth by which all outer achievements can be accomplished. Hence, we light the lamp to bow down to knowledge as the greatest form of wealth. But the traditional oil or ghee lamp has a further spiritual significance. The oil or the ghee in the lamp symbolizes our vasanas or negative tendencies, and the wick symbolizes the ego. So when a lamp is lit, that is, that spiritual knowledge of that light, the prakash, all these vasanas get slowly exhausted and the ego too finally perishes. The flame of a lamp always burns upward. Similarly, we should acquire such knowledge as to take us towards higher ideals. And in many places, when they light the lamp, they chant a mantra. Shubham karoti kalyanam marogyam dhanasampatam Shatru buddhi vinashaya Dipajyoti namostute Shubham karoti kalyanam Arogyam dhanasampada Shatru buddhi vinashaya Dipajyoti namostute. I salute who is the light in this lamp that brings auspiciousness, prosperity, good health, abundance of wealth, and destruction of intellect's enemy. The light of the lamp stands for the unmanifest truth as well as Lord Vishnu himself, who removes the darkness. Like the flame burning upward, our knowledge must take us towards higher ideals. With one single deepam, we can light many more lights, but the original lamp doesn't diminish when lighting other lamps. This shows that our knowledge does not decrease when we share it with others. So that is the beautiful scientific analysis on lighting a lamp, that your ego gets removed, your desires are removed, then your intellect works towards the higher knowledge. After the morning rituals, Surya Namaskar is performed by many people. In that, there are various ways besides the 12 poses in yoga. So, in our tradition, we pay tribute and regards to Sun God early in the morning by offering water, chanting mostly the Gayatri mantra. Seeing sun rays early in the morning is good for our eyes and helps us to the routine. We can also do the yogic asana of Surya Namaskar, which aids good blood circulation, gives good stretch and push to our organs, improves digestion and our excretion, strengthens the physique and increases our memory power, better eyesight, and also the stamina gets increased. The next we have taken is touching the feet of elders. When we touch the feet of our elders, the nerve endings from our hand connects with the nerve ending of their feet to set up a circuit such that our nerve ending becomes the receptor of positive vibrations from our elders' nerve ends. Also, when we bow, It increases blood circulation, which is good for our health. And we also receive blessings. You are watching Good Vibes, a Bharat Media original series. Worshipping the Tulasi plant. Tulasi plant is known as holy basil, is an aromatic plant which is known for its medicinal properties, and it is planted in most of the houses in our country at the center in a courtyard and is worshipped. This was considered a good source of oxygen for women who used to cook using firewood that created a lot of smoke. In Ayurveda, this herb is used as tea. It is basically helps to prevent various illnesses and relieve the stress, cures common cold, cough and fever, and also strengthen the immunity system. Tulasi leaves are also added to some food preparations. So generally, worshipping Tulasi plant, if you analyze it scientifically, it helps us in various ways, as we saw. The peepal tree. Peepal tree, popularly known as the Bodhi tree, is considered very auspicious in Hinduism, Jainism and Buddhism. Gautam Buddha attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. The peepal tree is utilized in traditional medicines to treat various diseases like diabetes, asthma, gastric problems, diarrhea, epilepsy, inflammatory disorders and infections, and also sexual disorders. It is a tree that generates oxygen 24 hours of a day and is thus revered and conserved. The peepal is a true tree of life, even in the scientific sense. And going around the peepal tree, mostly 108 rounds is done as a tradition in our country, and especially the ladies take these rounds to have children if they do not have an offspring. Next, we are looking into application of sindoor or the vermilion. The center between the eyebrows is considered a very important point. It is called the Ajna Chakra. Men are seen with a tilak and women are seen with a bindi. What is known as kumkum? It is a red colored powder made with haldi, turmeric and lime together. It has been an old tradition for women to mix this kumkum with little water and apply it onto their forehead. The scientific reason being, this liquid kumkum, when applied daily, is absorbed into the skin. The position on the forehead is also an acupressure center of the pituitary gland. The medicinal properties of kumkum thus reach the pituitary gland, improving its functions, and additionally it helps in balancing the hormone secretions, which leads to regulating the menstrual cycles in women. Also corrects the problems of menstrual pain, and this is the science behind the application of sindoor or vermilion. Wearing toe ring. A silver or gold nowadays ring is worn on the second toe by married women, connects to the uterus and reaches the heart through a nerve. It maintains a healthy blood flow, strengthens the uterus and also ensures regular periods. The ring, which is made of silver or gold, also tones down the body heat. A toe ring is very useful during pregnancy, when the mother has to carry more weight as the baby grows. The ring is believed to activate peculiar acupressure points which acts beneficial for the pregnant mother. Applying henna when getting married. Henna has a very powerful cooling effect. When applied on the hands and the feet during weddings, it helps prevent stress and tension. The eucalyptus and the clove oil added with lemon drops for a darker color to the henna help in boosting the romance after the wedding and takes away the fear. So this is the science behind the henna being applied when getting married. Wearing of Mangal Sutra is a symbol of marriage. Even though there are two opinions on this, that it is only for the last 1,000 years this practice has come into being. Before that, in the Vedas, they say that the Mangal Sutra is not being given as part of a necessary tradition. However, in today, we see that it is very important because the word Mangal means auspiciousness. Sutra means thread. Together, the Mangal Sutra means an auspicious thread uniting two souls. The groom ties this auspicious thread around the bride's neck on the day of their marriage as a significance that their relationship would be as auspicious as the sutra. South Indians believe that the Mangal Sutra needs to be tied in 3 knots, with each knot carrying a significance: loyalty towards the husband, dedication to the family, and devotion to the Lord. So even this has a science background. Wearing colorful bangles. Colorful, shiny, sparkling, and very well matching with the dresses, the bangles are very dear to every woman who loves to dress up. When she wears bangles, the energy points in both the hands are pressed. It acts as a cure for menstrual pain and for pain in the heels that occur after the age of 40. So it has a science background. Ear piercing. The modern world may look at them as a fashion. However, our philosophy suggests this to assist in intellectual development, decision making, and thinking abilities. The outer part of the ear is an important acupressure point. It is a common ritual and tradition to have a newborn baby's ear pierced on the 12th day, but now even on the first year birthday also it is being done. As the spiritual thought signifies minimal speech, ear piercing are also known to help acquire this quality. So it helps to have good communication skill in that child. Shikha on the male's head. Shushrut Rishi, foremost surgeon of Ayurveda, describes the master sensitive spot on the head as Adhipati Marma, where there is joining of many nerves. The Shikha protects this spot. It is the center of wisdom, and the knotted Shikha helps to boost this center and conserve the subtle energy known as Ojas. The Shikha symbolizes the presence of discerning intellect, farsightedness, and the deity of knowledge upon our head. It is a flag of human culture. It reminds us of the religious principles of morality, righteousness, responsibility, and dutiful awareness. Now, when we come to sleeping, we avoid keeping the head pointing to the north. The south pole denotes positive energy, whereas the north pole denotes negative energy. According to the study of magnetism, this is explained. If we sleep with our head pointing to the north, the magnetic field of the human body becomes asymmetrical with that of the Mother Earth. Being already tired and drained out during the day, our brain getting more negative energy is not desirable. We might not get a good sleep also. It is found to be easier to fall asleep and get good rest if we keep our head towards the south. Throwing coins into a river. The general reasoning is that it brings good luck. However, scientifically speaking, in the ancient times, most of the currency used was made of copper, unlike the stainless steel coins today. Copper is a vital metal useful to human body, and throwing coins in the river was one way our forefathers ensured we intake sufficient copper as part of the water, as the rivers were the source of drinking water. Making it a custom ensured that all of us follow this practice, even though if you look at it scientifically, this may not be true for today, but it started as a science before. Upavasa or fasting. The word upavasa means to stay near God. This is said to be achieved through fasting, which is a common tradition observed by the Hindus. The periodic fasting provides the rest for the digestive system. It allows the digestive system to recuperate from the rough treatment that we keep giving it by overeating or eating wrong food and unhealthy food or eating at the wrong time. This helps in detoxification. This calms the mind, as fasting gives a chance to save time for spiritual pursuits. So it helps in, scientifically if you look at it, it is a overhauling of our systems of the body. Plus it adds to spiritual awareness. You are watching Good Vibes, a Bharat Media original series. The Indian cuisine is famous for its spices and for being flavorable, the aroma. Ayurveda, the ancient Indian Vedic system of healing, which is present even today, describes the Shad Rasa, that means 6 rasas, Shad Rasa, or the 6 different types of taste necessary in our diet, which includes sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent or hot, and astringent. These rasas or the taste need to be balanced through the food intake based on the type of nature or the prakriti or the personality one has. Some of the traditions followed before and during and after having food. Sitting down on the floor in a cross-legged manner is called Sukhasana. Having our food in this position makes us bend down and eat. We have to move up and down while eating. The stomach gets pushed as we bend down, and as we sit back straight after taking the next bite, it leads to muscular movement in our stomach, which helps in creating digestive juices and in taking the swallowed food ahead. After lunch, we take a nap for 10 minutes. Is considered to be very good for life, and after dinner at night, taking 100 steps of walk is also considered to be good. Eating on a banana leaf. In South India particularly, food is directly served on the banana leaf. Due to this, It is hygienic, antioxidant, and it has healthy properties. They are considered a much better option than the manufactured plates. It is more healthy and scientific and environmentally friendly item. Menstruation in our Hinduism. Hindus view on menstruation as a period of rest and sacred celebration. Several restrictions were followed because woman was considered to be more susceptible or vulnerable physically, emotionally, and psychologically. It was recommended for Indian women to rest during menstruation. Women during the menstrual cycle were not allowed to participate in prayer rituals, enter temples or places of worship. She was required to stay at home and rest until she was done with her periods. There were also hygiene issues involved since they did not have the sanitary pads like today. In our country, there was also the presence of wild animals like tigers, and the smell of blood could attract them from a distance. This would make the woman exposed to the dangers, as there were reports of more women attacked and killed by wild animals during their periods. During menstruation in Hinduism, there were shades and places outside the temple set for women who wanted to go and pray. They were not allowed to enter the temple and mingle with other people during their menstrual periods. According to the four Vedas, if you look at it, during the menses, it is never stated anywhere there that the woman is prohibited from entering the temple or she has to be kept separate. This all came later on, but the actual reason, if you look at this ritual, is that in the olden days, because in those days it was a joint family and women did not have any help from any mixie, machineries and other things. Everything they had to do manually, including having that chula which they use for cooking. They didn't have gas and other things. So it was a very tough job for them, grinding and everything that they are busy with. So it is too much of a work. So to give them rest for these 3 days is the main reason why this was enforced. And with the name of God, the thing will be obeyed better. So the temple was brought in to tell that you cannot enter. But later on, it was not what reason it was started is not being followed. And today, of course, it is not followed at all. Unless in some Orthodox family, they may be following it. There is a celebration when a girl menstruates for the first time. It is called Ritukala Samskara. Is the coming up of age. It is a ceremony that celebrates the onset of menstruation, a highly localized ceremony that is celebrated across our country based on the local customs and the traditions. The highlight of this festival is that the girl undergoes ritual seclusion, ritual bathing, many other local customs including turmeric bathing ceremony. Friends and family are invited and the girl is gifted silk saris and she wears a sari for the first time. The entire ceremony happens with much elaboration and form, and in many ways it resembles a mini version of a marriage, imparting a very positive notion about menstruation in the mind of the girl and imparting the knowledge that equips the young girl well to adjust to her oncoming physical and emotional changes during puberty. In most cases, this is celebrated to inform the community that the girl is now ready for marriage so that eligible grooms can be fixed for the girl. The Vedas did have certain restrictions, but they were only purely related to a woman's health. The Bhagavad Gita also considers the period of a woman having menses as a purification process. Thus, celibacy is advised and household activities and exercises are also prohibited to give her rest. The woman is considered to be extremely sensitive. Thus, no one is advised to indulge in vigorous activities. Sanatana Dharma, which we popularly understand as Hinduism, is God's eternal duty shared by all forms, all from the rishis and other great souls. The devout Hindu is expected to perform 5 obligatory duties: nourishing gods, nourishing ancestors, nourishing needy human beings, nourishing other living beings, and serving the Sirs and the Brahmanas. These are called obligatory duties, which they are supposed to practice as it leads to harmony, peace, order, and regularities. So as we see these traditions, almost all of them are scientifically connected, and it helps in one way or the other for the welfare of the human being, and so it is good for us. And even today, even though some people may criticize it, it is good to follow this tradition for the highest good of all of us. There are many more such interesting traditions which are very scientific, and we will see more of them later. So I hope, friends, all of you enjoyed this topic and learned something. So before rejecting, we should try and understand why our rishis and the great saints created these. Then we will be able to realize how scientific is our Sanatana Dharma. Thank you. God bless you all. You were watching the Good Vibes series, a Bharat Media original. Stay tuned. We will be back again with yet another very interesting topic. God bless you all. Thank you.